Okay, so referencing. Referencing is a way to get the computer to do the work for you and to manage things. All right, and it's very important for big projects where you have a lot of things going on. And so when you need to make changes, you always have to make changes, that you can quickly make those changes and it propagates out through all the scene files. So you've already seen how your Photoshop files get referenced into Maya. They come into Maya every time, and as you change them, they update the textures, right? Well, with the referencing system in Maya, you get to do that with scene files. So this bear here is that bear there, and this one over here. And so when I need to make a change to, let's say, Harry Bear here, it means that that change gets updated over to this version of him, and well, it's the same version. Okay, but in this shot, he's with his animation and everything, he gets that change or that fix. Okay, and so that's what the referencing does. Here's Danny Bear. Same thing. So the gift, same gift. I make a change to the master GIF file, or I called it final, on each. Yeah, so I make a change here, and it propagates through all of the scenes for me. So like this scene here, it's a small scene. It's just him dancing. Okay, and so there he is, bopping away. And what I can do is, I just go to the reference editor here, and I can just turn him off. So now he disappears. And so we have the gift pops in and does its thing because it's still brought in. And so I can pop him back in, and so let's see, all right, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is what happens when you move the things from machine to machine. All right, so I just go and I grab Danny Final, open, and he pops in, and his motion's still there. So what I would do is, on this project, is I'd go, all right, I need to animate a new shot. I would bring in, or I'd open up my scene with my background here. Normally you'd reference in your background as well, but this one's so simple. And I have my light set, so my standard lights. I'd set up the camera and then save the file out as the name of that shot. In this case, Dance A was the name of the shot. Then all you do is, instead of importing, which just brings the file in, you do create reference. And yeah, so you just then bring the file in, and it keeps that dynamic link to the original file. All right, so and so with this, yeah, so it's very powerful. You just have to plan for it. It means that this animation file, it's tiny, and I can email it back and forth. So I could say, hey, do you like the animation? Email it to you. You have a copy of the Heavy Bear on your hard drive. You link it in, and you get to see the motion. So that's one way of working. Anyhow, so then, all right, midway, near the end of the project, after I got it animated, and one of the things that you can do is you could reference in your rig with your low-res character, and then swap it out with the high-res. I did mine in layers on this project because it was a small project. But then what I had to do is, before I get to that, let's look over here in the graph editor, Hypergraph. Okay, so you see here, everything that's referenced in is colored in red. So all the stuff that's referenced is red. And I can go to my reference editor here. And so there's various things, okay, just making sure I don't screw anything up here. Okay, and so if I decide I want to make an edit to this file and save it back to the master file, save reference edits is one way to do that. Okay. Um, right. So then we have reload. So maybe you're working uh, off a reference file, and you go, hey, there's a problem. You send an email to the character rigger, he fixes it, replaces the master file, and then you just go reload reference, and it brings in whatever fix you made the request for. Remove reference pulls it out. There's also an import from reference. So I frequently, if I'm going to import something, I reference it, I get that dynamic link, and then if at a later point I need to import it, maybe just before rendering or something, I can import it. So it's a really, really powerful way of doing stuff. Okay, so yeah, you can make a change here and bake it out to the master, but I'd really try to keep that to a minimum. I'd try to go to the master file that links in, makes your change there, and then have it propagate through everything. And when I say propagate, I mean it's just you open the file and it's going to be there with the latest, greatest version. All right, so I'll just go here to the Danny final, okay, and I will do a replace reference. And so the thing about this project is he has fur. And so when I'm animating, I don't want to have the fur bogging down my machine. I want to get my work done. So now I'll just do Danny Fur Dynamics Final and hit the reference button after I pause the video. Okay, so that took a short amount of time to load up. Even 6 years later, this is still a heavy file. And as you see, all the fur is on there, and so yeah, the machine would run super slow if I hit the play button right now, but it would give me a nice, accurate fur simulation. So, and as you see, the pose is on there. We're on frame 55. And I'd be ready to render at this point. And so the teeth and stuff are green on this version because it punches through to the background. It's a use background shader. But so that's the working with the referencing. It's that easy. You want to make sure that before you start referencing that you make sure your models are clean and your everything is properly named. So where you have problems is if you reference in polycube 27 and then change it later on to be box 01, then the reference is going to screw up because it looks at the naming. So you have to make sure that you check all your files before you start referencing. But yeah, you get your rig there with your low res. You animate with it, and then the high res version gets done. You replace reference. You take a look at the high res. And you just slowly reference things in, and it'll as you add things to the model or to the scene, it just will bring that stuff in. So you start with low res proxy objects with the proper names for the final, and then you replace them out, and they propagate through your whole project directory structure. So you just have to be organized. That's it. And then the computer does a lot of work for you. Hope that helps. Have fun.